Okay. So hello guys. Last part na ng corporation taxation video discussion natin. So tapusin na natin to. Medyo nagiging mahaba na yung discussion natin for corporation. Pasukin na natin yung mga special corporations. So we've discussed about ordinary corporations ha. Yan yung mga subjects sa RSET and yung MSET natin. So kapag special corporation ulitin natin, hindi sila subject sa RSET, hindi subject sa MSET, but rather subject sila sa preferential taxation or special tax rate na binigay mismo sa kanila ng batas. Okay, binawasan daw yung supposed to be tax rate nila. So unahin natin si domestic corporation. Pag domestic special corporation, meron kang tatlo dyan. Okay, unahin natin, nandiyan si proprietary educational institution. Okay, pag sinabi daw proprietary, sabi sa batas, sabi sa tax code, yan yung mga private educational institution natin. Okay, pag proprietary educational institution ka daw, yung tax rate mo daw is nasa 10% na yung basis mo is net taxable income. Okay, pangalawa, na special domestic corporation daw natin is kapag proprietary educational institution ka rin daw, but is organized not profit or non-profit, non-stock educational institution. Okay? So dito sa kanina, proprietary educational institution. So pwede natin sabihin na for-profit educational institution daw. Ang tax rate mo daw dyan is 10% of net taxable income. Yung pangalawa daw, proprietary pa rin, private educational institution pa rin, pero non-profit and non-stock educational institution. Ang sabi daw, subject yan sa 10% of net taxable income pa rin. But take note, under Section 30, of the tax code, sinabi doon mismo, doon sa list ng exempt corporations, yung pinakita ko sa inyo sa last video discussion natin. Tama, meron ka pa ditong GOCC, tapos meron pa yung exempt corporation. Sa exempt corporation, kabilang doon si proprietary educational institution. Nasa section 30 of the tax code yan. Sinabi doon that proprietary educational institution are exempt from income taxation. Ito yung exception to the rule. Okay? Or sinabi doon, non-stock, non-profit educational institution are exempt from income taxation. Ito yung exception to the rule. Yung non-stock, non-profit educational institution daw. That, okay, kapag, ito daw, subject na daw sila sa 10% net taxable income, if, okay, kapag sinabi daw, if part of its income inures or hindi mo na nakita. Part of its income inures or accrues to benefit of any owner or member. Okay? Yung sinabi kasi sa Section 30 of the Tax Code, dapat daw, kahit piso or kahit ni singkong duling daw ng income ng isang non-profit, non-stock educational institution, dapat yung income daw na yun, hindi mapupunta sa kahit na kaninong member or owner ng educational institution. Ngayon, kapag meron daw kahit piso daw na napunta na profit sa isang non-stock, sa isang owner ng non-stock, non-profit educational institution, sabi daw, hindi na siya exempt under Section 30 of the Tax Code, but rather subject na sa 10% of net taxable income natin. Yun yung sinabi sa batas. Yan yung pangalawang special corporation natin. So let's move on sa pangatlo. Yung pangatlo naman, dito, sinasabi, proprietary, non-stock, non-profit hospitals. Okay, hospital ka naman daw. That is proprietary and is non-stock and non-profit hospital. Ang sabi daw, ang tax rate mo rin daw dito is 10% of net taxable income. So pare-parehas yan, 10% of net taxable income. Sir, paano pag yung educational institution is public, hindi daw private educational institution, but rather public educational institution, as long as registered kay CHED, registered kay DepEd, registered sa TESDA, exempt yan sa taxation under Section 30 of the Tax Code. Sir, paano pag public hospital? Exempt din yun sa exempt din yun sa income taxation. Sir, paano pag for-profit hospital? Sabi kasi dito non-stock, non-profit. Pag for-profit hospital po, subject na sa ordinary corporation yun. Kuha mo yun? Sige kuha mo. Very good. Sige. Provided that this 10% net taxable income, nagkaroon ng lower percentage yan of 1% of net taxable income from, sinabi doon, from July 1, 2020 up to June 30, 2023. During pandemic years. Sabi daw kapag yung net taxable income daw ng isang proprietary educational institution, non-profit, non-stock educational institution, proprietary, non-stock, non-profit hospital is na-incur ng July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2023, ang tax rate daw nila is 1% of net taxable income. Sir, obsolete na. 2025 na ngayon. Yes, obsolete na. Hindi mo na kailangan yung 1% net taxable income. But we never know kung ano ulit yung lalabas sa board exam. So, mas mabuti, prepared ka sa kahit na anong laban na ibeto sa'yo ni BOA. Okay? Mabuti nang alam mo na mayroong 1%. Yes, 10% na ngayon. Pero mas mabuting alam mo na dati, naging 1% yan. Kuha mo yon? Kuha mo. Sige. Ito pa, gusto ko pang i-emphasize. Merong special treatment. Merong special treatment kapag usapang educational institution. Okay? Sinabi daw na kapag ikaw is educational institution, meron ka daw option. Binigyan ka daw ng option ni tax code saan kapag usapang capital expenditures. CAPEX daw. Yung mga fixed asset mo daw. Ano daw yung option mo na yan? Una, you can expense it outright. Okay? Sa ITR mo daw, yung buong cost ng capital expenditure mo, pwede mo daw siyang i-expense outright. Pwede mo daw siyang i-claim as allowable deduction mo sa loob ng isang taon. Option mo yan. Number 2, option mo daw, pwede mo daw siyang i-expense using depreciation. Okay, familiar ka na siguro dito. Depreciation method daw. Pwede din daw yan. Okay, sir, ano bang meron? Bakit sa educational institution lang? Sa non-stock, non-profit hospital, anong meron dyan? Ito lang. Depreciation lang. Yung expense outright, hindi available sa kanila yan. Okay, ito lang yung meron sa kanila. Ito, wala yan. So, let's say for example, bigyan natin ng illustration. Si educational institution, nagpatayo ng building. Nagpatayo ng bagong school. Yung building na cost niyan, 1 million pesos. Meron siyang sales of 10 million pesos. Or sabihin na natin income na lang, hindi maganda yung sales. Meron siyang gross income of 10 million pesos. Meron siyang allowable deductions excluding yung capex and depreciation of 5 million pesos. So meron na siyang net taxable income dito of 5 million pesos. Meron daw siyang option. For example, in-avail niya yung expense outright. Yung cost ng building na 1 million pesos, pwede daw niyang i-claim yan as deduction dito. So yung net taxable income lang niya is 4 million pesos. Kuha mo yon. Sige, sir, paano yung isang option? Let's say for example, yung useful life ng building mo is nasa 10 years. So yung depreciation mo dyan, nasa 100,000. Ano daw mangyayari? Yung net taxable income mo daw before na 5 million pesos, pwede mo daw i-claim yung 100,000 dito. Meron ka daw 4,900,000 na net taxable income. Tapos yung natitirang 900,000, pwede mo pa siyang i-claim ng 100,000 each year for the next 9 years. Depreciation method. Ulitin ko, available lang yan kapag educational institution. Pag profit or pag hospitals, hindi yan available. Okay, so yan lang naman yung kailangan mong tandaan sa mga special domestic corporations. Una yan, educational institutions lang naman and hospitals. Pare-parehas din yung tax rate yan. 10% of net taxable income. Meron lang special treatment pag usapang capital expenditure kapag educational institution. Okay? Okay, so puntahan natin si resident foreign corporations. Okay, pag resident foreign corporation, dalawa lang naman yan eh. Okay, special corporation sa resident foreign corporation, dalawa lang yan. Una, meron tayong international carriers. Yung international carriers na yan, regardless kung bumabiyahe yan sa air or bumabiyahe sa sea. International carrier. Ano ba yung international carrier na yan? Kung mapapansin mo, meron tayong Cebu Pacific. Sa Cebu Pacific, kapag bumiyahe sa Manila, tapos nag-transfer ng passenger, meron ticket yon. Kanino? Saan? Sa Cebu, sa Bohol, sa Visayas, within the Philippines, hindi yun international carrier. Domestic carrier yun. Okay? Si international carrier, let's say for example, si Jetstar. Si Jetstar, corporation yan or aeroplano yan ng isang Singaporean country. Okay? Si Singaporean country, si Jetstar, nag-transfer ng passenger dito sa Pilipinas, papuntang Singapore. Yung ticket daw na yun or yung income daw na na-incur doon, subject daw yun saan? Dito daw sila. International carrier daw sila. Pag international carrier, ang tax rate mo dyan is 2.5% of gross Philippine billings. Okay, 2.5% of gross Philippine billings. Ano yung gross Philippine billings? Parang cost of ticket mo lang yan. Okay? Or gross income lang yan. Without the right to claim allowable deductions. Gross income mo yan. Okay tayo dyan? Sige, international carrier 2.5% of gross Philippine billings. Gusto ko pang i-emphasize na yung gross Philippine billings daw na ito, provided daw na dapat continuous or uninterrupted flight yung nangyari. Paano sinabing continuous or uninterrupted flight? Let's say for example, kung meron kang kakilalang OFW or parents mo is from OFW, yung mga parents mo, minsan daw nakakatipid sila. For example, yung final destination nila is sa Canada. Punta silang Philippines to Canada. Yung cost daw ng ticket from Philippines to Canada, medyo mahal daw. Mas makakatipid daw sila kapag nag-connecting flight sila. Wherein, let's say for example, from Philippines, titigil daw muna sila ng Hong Kong. Tapos from Hong Kong, tsaka pupunta daw sa Canada. Okay? Hindi na yun uninterrupted flight. Connecting flight na yun. So sinabi daw, yung subject lang daw sa gross Philippine billings na 2.5% is yung uninterrupted flight. So let's say for example, yung ticket mo from Philippines to Hong Kong to Canada is nasa 2,000 pesos. Hindi mo itatax yung buong 2,000 pesos. Okay? Ang itatax mo lang sa 2.5% is yung from Philippines to Hong Kong. Yung kay Hong Kong to Canada, wala na yun. Hindi na yun subject sa international carrier of 2.5%. So, anong gagawin ko dun, sir? Prorate mo lang. Hatiin mo lang. So, yung taxable lang, yung from Philippines to Hong Kong, yung 1,000 pesos lang. 1,000 pesos times 2.5%, yun yung taxable, yun yung tax na babayaran ng isang international carrier. Kuha mo yun. Sana na-gets, ha? Okay, uninterrupted flight lang daw yung sinasabi dito sa 2.5% of gross Philippine billings. Okay, from Philippines to another country. Next natin. Number 2, special corporation under resident foreign corporation is yung tinatawag nila na regional operating headquarters. Okay? Si regional operating headquarters, ang tax rate nito is 10% of net taxable income. And hindi yan subject sa MSIT. Okay? 10% of net taxable income. Gusto ko lang i-emphasize na si regional operating headquarters, yan yung sinasabi nilang ROHQ. Kailangan mo yung i-differentiate sa RHQ. Meron kasing RHQ which is si regional headquarters. Ang difference lang nila, si regional operating headquarters binigyan ng right na mag-operate sa Pilipinas. Si regional headquarters walang right yan mag-operate sa Pilipinas. So parang considered siya as non-resident foreign corporation. Take note mo, si regional headquarters exempted yan sa income taxation. Pero si regional operating headquarters subject yan sa 10% of net taxable income. Kuha mo yan? Okay. Provided that beginning January 1, 2022, regional operating headquarters are taxed like an ordinary corporation. So meaning, subject na daw sila sa RSET and MSET of 25% and 2% respectively. Kailan daw mag-i-start? January 1, 2022. Sir, obsolete na yan. 2025 na ngayon, mag-2026 na nga. Yes. Pero mas mabuti ulit na alam mo. Baka yung binigay sa board exam, nagbigay ng ROHQ. Tapos yung date doon, 2021. Anong tax rate gagamitin mo? 10% of net taxable income ka muna. Okay, so dalawa lang yan ha. Resident Foreign Special Corporation, international carriers yan of 2%, 2.5% gross Philippine billings. Tapos regional operating headquarters of 10% net taxable income that beginning January 1, 2022. Subject na sila sa ordinary. Subject na sila like an ordinary corporation. Sige, punta tayo. Non-resident foreign corporation. Sa non-resident foreign corporation naman, tatlo yan. Okay, tatlo kailangan mong tandaan dyan. Una, cinematographic film, owner or lessor. Okay, cinematographic film, owner or lessor. Huwag mo nang pahirapan yung sarili mo. Dito, isipin mo na lang yung mga pinapanood mo. Yung mga latest ngayon. Panood mo si Demon Slayer. Saan yan galing? Outside the Philippines yan. Napanood mo si Avengers, Endgame, Infinity War. Galing saan yan? Outside the Philippines yan. Yung mga yun daw, cinematographic film owner or lessor daw, non-resident foreign corporation daw yung mga yun. Subject daw sila saan? 25% of final tax. Sir, ano naman yung example ng mga cinematographic film owners na nasa domestic corporation? Yan, yung mga Star Cinema. Okay, saan subject yan, sir? Ordinary corporation. Okay, specifically sinabi dito dapat non-resident foreign corporation yung cinematographic film owner or lessor. Ang tax rate ulit, 25% of final tax. Okay, pangalawa, owner or lessor of vessels. Kapag sinabi mong vessels, yan yung mga pantubig. So yan yung mga ship, bangka, barko. Ang tax rate daw nito, owner or lessor of vessels, is from yung income daw nila, is subject sa 4.5% of gross income. Gross income yan ha. Ano yung pangatlo, sir? Owner or lessor of aircraft naman. Okay. Panghimpapawid naman yan. Ang tax rate mo dyan, 7.5% of gross income. O, wag ka na malilito. 4.5% versus 7.5%. Wag ka na malilito. Okay? Wag mong pagbabaliktaran yan. Isipin mo na lang. Vessels, nasa dagat. Aircraft, nasa langit. Lumilipad. Ano mas mataas? Yung aircraft. Ano mas mataas na tax rate? 7.5%. Okay. Okay. Natutunan ko lang yan sa Review Center. Pinnacle. Brought to you by. Sige. Next natin. Tapos na tayo. Tama. Tatlo na. Non-resident foreign corporation, cinematographic film owner or lessor, 25% of final tax, owner or lessor of vessels, 4.5% of gross income, owner or lessor of aircraft, 7.5% of the gross income. So yan na yung mga special corporations na kailangan mong tandaan. Meron lang tayong others dito. Sir, bakit hiniwalay mo pa yung others? Okay. Kasi, eto. Yung mga special corporations na yan, lagi mong tatandaan, corporation yan. Meron yung mga articles of incorporation. Nandoon nakasulat yung registered business nila. Okay, meron tayong tinatawag na related activities and unrelated activities. Okay, meron silang tinatawag na ganyan. Ano yung related activities? Yan yung corporation, yan yung activity ng isang corporation na yan talaga yung purpose niya. Bakit? Nandyan siya. Let's say for example, sa educational institution, ano bang purpose niyan? For educational purposes only. So ano yung related activities niya? Yung for educational purposes lang. Kapag naka-receive yan ng other income, or income other than educational purposes, saan daw yung pumapasok? Unrelated activities. Okay, let's say for example nga, educational institution. Ano ba example ng educational or related activities ng educational institution? Number 1, meron silang income from tuition fees. Kasama daw yan. Number 2, pwede daw from miscellaneous fees. Yung nare-receive daw nilang income from miscellaneous fees, related activities din daw yan. Number 3, pwede din daw cafeteria fees, provided that yung cafeteria daw is located inside the campus. Yung income daw ng cafeteria, related activities pa rin daw yan ng educational institution. Number 4, pwede rin daw income from bookstore, provided daw again that the bookstore must be located inside the campus of the educational institution to be considered as a related activities. And last, na pwedeng ma-consider as related activities ng isang educational institution is yung mga income daw from hospitals. Let's say for example, sa educational institution daw, mayroong hospitals. Yung income daw from that hospital is related activities daw, provided daw that the income or the hospital is being used by our future doctors for the purposes of their residency. Okay, sabi daw, related activities daw yan. Ano example ng unrelated activities? Pag hindi naka-define dyan. Unang-unang example mo dyan, meron silang rental income. Let's say for example, hindi sinasadya, merong extra room. Si educational institution, merong nangangailangan ng tirahan, nagkaroon ng dorm, yung rental income daw doon, unrelated activities yun. Okay, so very important na i-differentiate mo yung related activities and unrelated activities. Bakit? Ito ngayon yan. Tama kung maaalala mo, meron tayong special corp and meron tayong exempt corp. Okay, kapag special corporation ka daw, meron silang related and unrelated activities. Unahin mo natin sa exempt corporation. Kapag exempt corporation ka daw, lahat ng related activities mo daw is exempt from income tax or from related or from regular income tax. Si unrelated activities daw, subject daw yan sa regular income tax. Let's say for example ulit, si educational institution, public school. Si public school, exempted yon. Saan sa exempted? Sa related activities lang. Pag mayroon siyang income from rental income, ano mangyayari daw dyan? Subject daw yan sa regular income tax. Kapag ulit, exempt corporation ka. Kapag special corporation ka, wherein ito, subject sa 10% of net taxable income, special corporation yan. Sinabi daw, yung buong income from related and unrelated activities is subject sa special rate. Okay? Hindi mo daw kailangang ihihiwalay yung related and unrelated activities. Sabi daw, yung buong income from related and unrelated activity is subject sa special rate. Provided daw that the related activities is greater than the unrelated activities. Actually, hindi yan yung sinabi sa batas. Ang sinabi kasi sa batas, dapat daw yung related activities is more than 50% or 50% or more than of the total activities of the corporation. But in short, pwede mo namang isipin, basta yung related activity is mas mataas sa unrelated activity, sabi daw, subject ka sa special rate. Sir, paano? Kapag yung related activities is mas mababa sa unrelated activities. Or for example, yung income ko from rental income is mas tumaas kasi dito sa mga income ko na to. Ano mangyayari daw? Subject daw yung buong income mo saan? Sa regular income tax like an ordinary corporation daw. Okay? Gusto ko lang i-emphasize ko yan ha. Pag exempt corporation ka ulit, yung income mo from related activities, exempted yan. Yung income mo from unrelated activities, subject sa regular income tax yan. 25% or 20%. Pag special corporation ka daw, yung income mo from related and unrelated activities, as long as yung related activities mo is tumaas ng unrelated activities, ang sabi daw, subject ka sa special rate, which is 10% pag educational institution. Kapag related daw is mas mababa sa unrelated, hindi daw gagamitin yung special rate, but rather pupunta ka daw sa 25% or 20% of ordinary corporation sa regular income tax. Okay. Okay. Ngayon sa other special corporation, kaya ko sila hiniwalay kasi eto, hindi mag-a-apply yung rules for special corp. Ano mag-a-apply? Eto ka daw sa exempt corporation. Meaning, yung special rates na babanggitin ko dito, yung subject lang sa special rate is yung mga related activities. Pag meron silang income from unrelated activities, saan sila subject? Dito daw, sa regular income tax like an ordinary corporation. Okay? Sige, isa-isahin natin ha. Okay. Meron tayo number 1. Blue na lang. Number 1, nandiyan daw si service contractor or subcontractor that are engaged in petroleum operations. Sabi daw dito, ang tax rate daw nito is nasa 8% of net of gross income. Okay, 8% daw yan of gross income. Pangalawa daw, kapag daw yung corporation is registered or belong sa Ecozone or TIEZA Enterprises daw yan, or belong sa PEZA Enterprises daw natin, ang tax rate daw nila dito is 5% of net or of gross income. 5% daw yan of gross income, wherein yung 5% daw na yan, hinahati yan. Yung 3% daw niyan, mapupunta daw yan sa national government. And yung 2% daw niyan, mapupunta sa local government. Okay, sige. Sa number 3 natin. Number 3 natin dito, sinasabi daw, meron daw microfinance NGO. Microfinance non-government organizations. Ang tax rate daw neto is nasa 2% of gross receipt naman daw. Okay, 2% of gross receipt. Yang 2% na yan, belong yan, pupunta lang lahat yan kay national government. So, ibig sabihin, pag merong inimpose sa kanila si local government, required silang bayaran yung tax na yon. Dito kasi kay Ecozone and TIEZA Enterprises, kapag merong inimpose si local government, hindi na nila kailangan bayaran. Kasi nga yung 5% daw na binayaran nila of gross income is subject daw saan, or in lieu daw yan ng national government and ng local government taxes. Okay? Number 4, konting tiis na lang. Okay, 5 lang naman ito. Sa number 4, meron tayong tinatawag na offshore banking units. Or, yan yung OBU na sinasabi nila. Si offshore banking units, subject yan sa 10% of net taxable income. Familiar? Familiar ba yan? Yes, parehas yan ng ROHQ. Okay, since parehas yan ng ROHQ, yes, obsolete na rin yan. Bakit? Kasi sabi daw, they are now considered as an ordinary corporation. Considered na daw sila as ordinary corporation, but yung difference daw nila, this is beginning April 11, 2021. Ito kasi, nag-start kailan? January 1, 2022. Ito magi-start daw April 11, 2021 si offshore banking units. Okay tayo. Last tayo. Meron tayong tinatawag na barangay micro business enterprises. Si barangay micro business enterprises naman daw dito is exempt from regular income tax. Okay? Ang requirement lang kay barangay micro business enterprises is dapat yung income mo or yung gross, yung income mo does not exceed 3 million pesos. And you must register to Department of Trade and Industry through Negosyo Center. Certificate of Authority is renewable every 2 years. Okay? So, yan yung mga special corporations natin. Sana natatandaan mo Ulitin ko, yung purposes nung pag-classify natin dito is para mahiwalay mo yung mga tax rate natin. Kasi iba-iba kasi talaga yung tax rate natin and kailangan mong i-memorize yan. So, ganyan ko siya minemorize. Siniwalay ko si ordinary sa special corporation. Pag domestic corporation special, 3 lang iisipin ko dyan. And pare-parehas yan, 10% yan. Kay resident foreign corporation na special, 2 lang yan. International carrier na 2.5% of gross Philippine billings. Tapos yung regional operating headquarters na net na 10% of net taxable income na obsolete na yan. Kasi ngayon, beginning January 1, 2022, ordinary corporations na yung mga yan. Sa non-resident foreign corporation, 3 lang yan, yung cinematographic film owner or lessor, 25% of final tax, tapos yung lessor of vessels and aircraft na 4.5% sa tubig, 7.5% sa langit, sa hangin. Tapos yung mga other special corporations. Okay, which is service contractor, 8%, Ecozone or PEZA Enterprises, 5%, microfinance, 2% of gross receipts, offshore banking unit, 10% of net taxable income, and barangay micro business enterprises, which is exempt. Okay, si barangay micro business enterprises, hindi naman talaga siya corporation. Siningit ko lang talaga siya. Gusto ko lang siyang i-discuss dito. Okay, tayo dyan. Sige. So, bago tayo mag-proceed sa next topic, gusto ko lang munang isingit ito. Okay, gusto ko isingit ito. Una, meron tayong ginagamit na BIR forms kapag usapang corporations. Nandito yan. Merong BIR form number 1702Q. Okay, yung BIR form 1702Q, fina-file yan quarterly. Okay, quarterly yan fina-file, okay? 1702QU. Sir, quarterly? Yes, required kasi magbayad ng quarterly tax payments or required mag-file ng quarterly ITR ang mga corporation. Kung maaalala mo, si individuals required din, lalo na kapag mayroong business. Ang exempted lang sa quarterly tax payments or quarterly ITR preparations natin is kapag purely from compensation income ka. Tama, pero required ka mag-quarterly. And yung rule doon, pag individuals ka ulit, kailan mo siya fina-file? Every 45 days following the end of the quarter. Dito ngayon, every 60 days. Okay, 60 days every end of the quarter. Yun yung difference nila. And yung isa pa sa difference ng individual taxpayers and ng corporate taxpayers, si corporations, okay, pwede yang magkaroon ng calendar year. Calendar year yan and pwedeng fiscal year. Parehas yan. Si individuals, yung pwede lang sa kanila is yung calendar year. Yung fiscal year, hindi available sa kanila. Ano bang difference ng calendar and fiscal year? Si calendar year, basta nag-umpisa ng January 1 and magtatapos ng December 31, calendar year yan. Pag fiscal year, any other year, basta hindi January 1 and December 31. Let's say for example, nag-start ng March 31, tapos yung ending ng taxable year nila, March 31 next year. Fiscal year ang tawag doon. Okay? Ulitin ko, si corporations available si calendar and fiscal year, kay individual taxpayer hindi available si fiscal year. Meron pa, BIR form number 1702X. Si 1702X, nabanggit ko na yata ito sa isang video discussion natin, which is a partnership. Ito, required kasi mag-file ng ITR yung mga exempt corporations. Okay, so for exempt corporations yan, hindi naman sila magbabayad ng tax kasi nga exempt sila sa RIT. But required sila mag-file ng ITR. Bakit daw? For withholding purposes. Para daw hindi maloko si BIR in case na mali yung i-report nung income na binayaran mo. Or yung isang tao na binayaran mo ng income. Or may na-receive na income galing sa'yo. 1702EX. Annually ito binabayaran. Or fina-file. Annually. Okay, annually. Hindi ko alam kung double L ang annually. Pagpasensyahan mo na. Next, 1702MX. Si MX naman, ginagamit ito kapag subject ka sa multiple tax rate. O, maalala mo? Ito, multiple tax rate na ito. Kapag ka-gross, meron siyang income from related, tapos may income from unrelated activities. Yung related activities subject sa 8%, yung unrelated activities subject saan? 25%. Ano daw gagamitin mo? 1702 MX. Fina-file yan annually ulit. Okay. Next. Meron ding tinatawag na 1702 RT. Ito naman, pina-file ito kapag subject ka lang daw sa regular income tax of 25% or 20%. Pina-file mo yan annually. Ito usually ang ginagamit. 1702 RT. Sir, kailan pina-file si 170 si annually? Same lang yan sa individual taxation. Ito is every 4 months or every 15th day of the 4 months after the end of taxable year. Okay, let's say for example, natapos yung end of the taxable year mo ng December 31, kailan ka magpa-file? 4 months, bilangin mo. January, February, March, April. Tapos 15th day nun. April 15. Okay, kuha mo yun? Sige. So, para sa na individual taxpayer. Ang pagkakaiba lang, pwede sa fiscal year, si corporation. Okay, ito yung major difference. 60 days pag quarterly, 40 day, 5 days kapag individuals. Kuha tayo? Sige. Ito pa. May nakalimutan kasi ako. Okay. Meron akong nakalimutan dun sa final withholding tax. Tama si final withholding tax, RIP, SWD natin. Yung I mo doon stands for letter I. Tama tayo? Sige. Ngayon, doon sa I natin, tatlo yun. Tama? Yung interest from local currency, interest from foreign currency, and interest from long-term deposits. Ito yung tatandaan mo. In accordance with Revenue Regulation number 14-12, sinabi doon that corporations daw, si corporations are not qualified for the long-term deposit exemption. Okay, ibig sabihin yung interest income from long-term deposit and pre-terminated long-term deposit hindi applicable sa kanila. Okay, hindi sila pwedeng ma-exempt. Tama, sa individual taxpayer, exempt yan. Before si MEPA, ngayon 20% na. Ngayon, hindi daw subjects, hindi daw applicable yun kay corporation. So, ano ibig sabihin? Subject ba sa 20%? No. Ano daw sinabi? Sabi sa Revenue Regulation 14-12 ulit, they are not also subject to final withholding tax, but rather they are subject to regular income tax. So, yung interest income from long-term deposit daw hindi subject sa final withholding tax, but is subject to regular income tax. Okay, tayo dyan? Sige, lapit na. Puntahan natin ngayon, eto. Si dividend sheet. Hindi ko lang alam kung na-discuss ko na si individual taxpayers dividend sheet. Ayoko nang balikan yung mga video discussion ko, but mas mabuti kung i-discuss na lang natin na sabay. So, ito yung itsura ng dividend sheet natin. Okay, dito lang muna tayo sa table. Dito sa table natin, meron dyang from. Yung from dyan nanggaling si dividend. Okay, sila nag-issue ng dividend. It's either domestic corp, resident foreign corp, and non-resident foreign corp. Yang may to dyan, sila yung naka-receive ng dividends. Ang pwedeng maka-receive sa individuals, resident citizen, non-resident citizen, etc. etc. Picturean mo na. Yan na. Picturean mo na. Very good. Ngayon, dito, kay domestic corporation, kapag daw si domestic corporation nagbigay ng dividends kay resident citizen, ang tax rate mo daw dyan, 10%. Same daw sila kay non-resident citizen, resident alien. Maiiba lang pag non-resident alien engage in trade or business na, yung tax rate mo na raw is 20%. Tapos general rule pa rin tayo kay non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business, 25% of final tax. Nabanggit ko na yung predominance test. Pag resident foreign corporation ka, meron kang predominance test. Kapag naipasa mo daw yung predominance test, yung income mo daw, o yung dividend daw na inisyu mo kay resident citizen, subject daw sa regular income tax. Sir, bakit regular income tax? Hindi na 10%. Kasi foreign corporation ka pa rin daw. Mawawala daw yung concept ng withholding daw dito. Kasi foreign corporation daw yung nag-issue. Okay? Kaya subject sa regular income tax. Kasi nga, earn pa rin siya inside the Philippines. Kapag kasi pinasa mo yung predominance test, it is considered that yung dividend, yung income na na-receive ng mga individual taxation are considered earned inside the Philippines. Kung earned inside the Philippines, taxable. Hindi nga lang kayang i-withhold kasi nga hindi na daw final withholding tax, but rather regular income tax. Tapos si non-resident alien not engaged, 25% of final tax pa rin daw. Kapag hindi naman naipasa yung predominance test, so it is considered earned outside the Philippines. Oh, bakit sir subject pa sa regular income tax si resident citizen? Exception to the rule yan eh. Earned, lahat ng income yan na na-earned inside and outside the Philippines, subject sa regular income tax. Tama? Oh, ngayon, yung iba, which is subject lang sa income na na-earned inside the Philippines, exempted na lahat. Kaya kung papansin mo, naka-ex na yan. Not taxable na raw. Pag non-resident foreign corporation naman, regular income tax pa rin kasi nga, exception to the rule ng territoriality theory natin, tapos yung iba, not taxable na. So medyo madali lang pag individual taxpayer. Dito ka ngayon malilito kapag si domestic corporation nag-issue sa isang domestic corporation din. Sabi daw pag si domestic corp nag-issue kay domestic corp, sabi raw exempted daw yan. Okay, hayaan mo na lang muna, exempt muna, explain ko mamaya. Pag resident foreign corp ka rin daw, exempted ka rin daw. Pag non-resident foreign corp ka naman, 25% ka pa rin, yun yung general rule natin, final tax. Pero meron lang daw instances na pwedeng bumaba up to 15%. Paano daw? Pag merong tax treaty. Ano ulit si tax treaty? Kasunduan. Okay? Sige. Unahin natin si non-resident foreign corp. Pag non-resident foreign corp ka raw, tapos naipasa mo tapos nagbigay ka daw sa domestic corporation, ang general rule mo muna, subject ka sa regular income tax. Okay, since foreign corporation na yan, earned outside the Philippines na yan, hindi na subject sa tax si resident foreign and si non-resident foreign corp. Kaya X na yan. Okay, sir, bakit may exempt ngayon si domestic corporation? Same rules yan dito sa domestic corp. Bakit sila exempted? Ito nga lang yung requirement pag non-resident foreign corporation. Okay, pag non-resident or kapag yung income mo daw is earned outside the Philippines tapos ang naka-receive daw is si domestic corporation, ulitin ko, kapag yung the dividend income daw is considered earned outside the Philippines and ang naka-receive is si domestic corporation, pwede daw silang ma-exempt sa tax, hindi sa regular income tax na isa subject, pwede daw ma-exempt provided ma-meet daw itong 5 requirements na ito. Number 1 requirement, dapat daw yung funds from dividends is ni-reinvest. Saan daw? Sa business operation ng isang domestic corporation. Okay, pangalawa, dapat daw ni-reinvest kailan? Within the next taxable year. Okay, dapat daw na-reinvest hanggang next taxable year. Pag next taxable year, hindi mo na daw pwedeng i-claim yung exemption. Number 3 daw, reinvestment is limited only to funding the working capital daw. And the reinvestment requirement or the capital or working capital requirement, capital expenditure lang daw, dividend payment lang daw, or investment in domestic subsidiary lang daw. So sinasabi, dito mo lang siya pwedeng i-reinvest. Yes, nire-invest mo siya within the next taxable year. Saan mo nire-invest? Dapat daw kay working capital requirement lang, sa capital expenditures lang, infrastructures lang, dividend payment lang, or nag-invest ka kay domestic subsidiary mo lang. And number 4 requirement daw, dapat daw si domestic corporation is mayroong hawak na at least 20% ng outstanding shares ng isang foreign corporation. 20%. At least 20%. And number 5, dapat daw yung 20% na yan hinawakan ng corporation for a minimum of 2 years from the time of dividend payment. Dapat ma-meet lahat yan. Pag hindi na-meet yung mga yan, saan yan subject? Regular income tax. Okay, so balikan natin yung iniwanan natin, yung exemption na yan. Yung exemption na yan, tinatawag yan as intercompany dividends. Okay, paano ang intercompany dividends? Ito na lang ang tandaan mong rules dyan. Merong domestic corp. Si domestic corporation may mga stockholders. Pwedeng yung stockholders mo dyan, pwedeng si A, individual, si B, individual, tapos si C, which is si corporation. Si A tapos si B, sabihin na natin resident citizen yan, saan yan subject? 10% of final withholding tax. Sabi daw si corporation, saan daw subject to? Exempted daw. Bakit daw? Ano daw yung rule? Intercompany dividends. Kasi si domestic corporation na ito, si corporation na iyan, pagmamayari din yan ng sino? Si A, B, tapos si C, which is sabihin na natin pare-parehas individuals. Okay? Kung corporation na yan, mag-i-issue din daw yan ng dividends. Yung dividends na in-issue niya dito, income ni corporation yan. Yung corporation na yan, yung income ng corporation na ito, kasama yung income na na-receive niya kay domestic corporation, which is na subject na kay final withholding tax kung isa subject kung hindi natin i-accept dito. Kaya ang sabi, kung ibibigay mo din yan as dividends, isa subject kita sa tax dito ng 10%. Tapos kung sinubject kita sa tax ng final withholding tax dito, aba, parang lugi ka na. Sige, i-exempt na nga lang kita rito. Okay, so yan yung exception. Okay, bakit nagkaroon ng exception? Ganyan yung kwento. Kasi nga daw, si corporation na to, mag-i-issue lang din ulit ng dividends. Okay, kaya yung exceptions, it applies only to domestic corporation. Si individuals, walang exemption dyan, no? Subject yan saan? 10% of final withholding tax. Kuha mo yon. Kuha mo. Medyo hindi mo na nakikita, no? O, yan. Picture mo lang ng konti dyan. Okay. Good. Next, discuss natin. Ano ba yung predominance test? Konting papel ako kasi alam ko na i-discuss ko na ito. Okay? Si predominance test, itetest mo lang yung Philippine income mo versus yung income mo abroad. Okay? Over sa world income. So, ang gagawin mo lang dyan, let's say for example, yung Philippine income mo is 100,000 pesos. Gross income mo Gross income to. Okay, emphasize ko gross income. Yung Philippine gross income mo is 100,000. Yung income mo from abroad is 50,000. So, ibig sabihin, yung world income natin is 150,000. Saan nakuha yung 150,000? Yung 100,000 plus 50,000. Yan yung world income mo. So, ito-test mo lang daw dyan kung ano yung percentage ng Philippine income mo. So, i-test mo, 100 divided by 150, nakuha yung 67%. Ito, 33%. As long as daw na yung Philippine income mo over sa total world income daw natin is more than 50%, dito 67%, ang sabi daw, it is considered earned inside the Philippines. So let's say for example, ito is nasa 49% yung Philippine income mo, tapos ito is 51%, yung dividend income daw is considered earned outside the Philippines. Yan si predominance test. Provided daw na yung gagamitin mong Philippine gross income dito and gross income dito is for the past 3 years. Okay? So for illustration purposes, shortcut ko lang. Pero dapat ang gagamitin mo dyan, 3 years. So yan si predominance test. Yan si dividend sheet. Natapos natin si special corporation. Tapos tayo kay corporate taxation. Sasagutan lang natin ng konti itong handouts natin na to para mas ma-materialize natin yung concepts. Let's go for illustration number 1. Okay, sabi sa dyan, si Cassandra raw, which is a corporation, provided the following data for calendar year ending December 31, 2021. Take note of the data 2021. Exchange rate is 1:50 pesos. So, merong income from Philippines, tas income from USA. I-convert mo nga muna yung income from Philippines mo dyan. 40,000 yan times 50 pesos. This is 2 million pesos. Ito ba? 15,000 times 50 pesos, 750,000. Ito, 3,000 times 50 pesos, 150,000. Income tax paid ito income tax paid. Requirement number 1 daw. If the corporation is a domestic corporation, it's income tax payable ang tinatanong. Income tax payable. Ito, wag mo munang dibdibin i-discuss natin sa separate video discussion yung tinatawag na foreign tax credit. Okay, pero konting pahapyaw lang, meron tinatawag na foreign tax credit. Si foreign tax credit, ang concept lang yan, meron kang income na na-earn outside the Philippines. Yung income na na-earn mo outside the Philippines, syempre tinax yan outside the Philippines. Ang sabi daw, yung pinayag mo daw na tax doon sa income mo outside the Philippines, pwede mo daw siyang i-claim as tax credit dito sa Pilipinas. Kasi nga daw, pag domestic corporation ka or pag resident citizen ka, itatax ka daw saan? Sa income na na-earn mo inside and outside the Philippines. Yung na-earn mo outside the Philippines, tinax na outside the Philippines din. Kaya, pwede mo daw i-claim yun as foreign tax credit. Okay, ito yung foreign tax credit mo, 150,000 pesos pag kinonvert natin. Tapos ngayon, si foreign tax credit daw, meron ka daw option. Pwede mo daw siyang i-claim as allowable deduction and pwede mo siyang i-claim as credit. Option yan. Pag claim mo na as tax credit, hindi mo na pwedeng i-claim as allowable deduction. Pag claim mo as allowable deduction, hindi mo pwedeng i-claim as tax credit. Okay? Tapos si tax credit, meron niyang limit. Yang limit na yan, pag-usapan na lang natin some other time. Ang assumption mo na lang muna dito, yung buong 150,000, pwede niyang i-claim as tax credit muna. Okay, sabi, if the corporation is a domestic corporation, its income tax payable is. Pag domestic corporation ka, anong tax rate mo? General rule natin, 25%. So, isolve mo muna. Magkano ba yung net taxable income mo dyan? Meron kang income from Philippines na 4 million. Tapos, income from USA na 2 million. Tapos, merong income or deductions na 2.5 sa Philippines. Tapos, 15 or 750,000 outside the Philippines. 4 million plus 2 million less 2.5. Sobra ng 0. 2.5 plus 750. This is equal to, nga, 4 million plus 2 million less 2.5 less 750. Nasa 2,750,000 net taxable income. I-tax mo sa percentage mo, 25%. 2,750,000 times 25%, 687,500. Anong tawag dyan? Tax due. Meron kang tax credit of, ito, 150,000. So, 687,500 less 150. This is equal to 537,500. Yan yung sagot for requirement number 1. Tax payable. Next daw, if the corporation is a domestic corporation but it opts to claim the tax paid abroad as a deduction from gross income, o meron kang net taxable income dito na 2,750,000, i-claim mo daw to as deduction, 150,000. So, meron kang 2,600,000 ba yan? 2,750,000 less 150, 2,600,000. Tapos, i-claim mo or mag-tax ka na ng 25%. 2,600,000 times 25%, nasa 650,000. Pwede mo bang i-claim yung deduction o yung tax credit? Hindi na. So, anong tax payable mo? Ayan na, 650,000 for requirement letter number 2. Number 3, if the corporation is a resident corporation, resident foreign corp ang assumption mo dyan, its income tax payable is, pag resident corporation or resident foreign corporation, yung income mo lang sa Philippines. So, that would be 4 million pesos less 2.5 million na deductions. I-ignore mo ngayon yung sa USA. So, 4 million less 2.5. 4 million less 2.5. This is equal to 1,500,000. Ang tax rate mo lang naman pag domestic corporate or resident foreign corporation is 25%. Times 25%, 375,000. Sir, mayroong tax credit, i-claim ko ba? Hindi na. Bakit? Hindi mo naman tinax kasi yung income mo outside the Philippines. Okay. Kuha. Sige. Next, kapag non-resident corporation ka daw, tama, 25% din yan, pero final tax. Kapag final tax, yung basis mo, gross income. So, 4 million times 25% ka lang. 4 million times 25%, this is equal to 1 million pesos. Yan ang sagot mo for number 4. Basic. Ba? Easy lang. Number 5. Sabi, if the corporation is a resident international carrier, international carrier? Anong tax rate mo dyan? 2.5%. Anong basis? Gross Philippine billings. Ano kamukha ng gross Philippine billings? Gross income. So, 4 million times 2.5%, this is equal to 100,000 pesos. Okay, 4 million times 0.025, 100,000 pesos. Sino-shortcut ko na lang yung mga 00 ah. Sige. Number 6 tayo. If the corporation is a non-resident cinematographic film, ano yan? 25% ng gross income. So, same sagot natin dito. Yan na yung sagot mo. 1 million pesos. Okay. Sige. Next, number 7. If the corporation is a non-resident lessor or vessel chartered by Philippines National... Uy, lessor, non-resident lessor, vessel. Ano tax rate mo dyan? 4.5%. Ano basis mo? Gross income. 4 million times 4.5%. Magkano yan? 4 million times 0.045 is equal to 180,000. Okay, very good ka kung memorize mo na yung tax rate. Keep it up. Next, pag aircraft naman daw, same lang, pero 7.5%. 4 million times 7.5%. This is equal to 4 million times 7.5%, 300,000. Yan yung sagot for number 9. Number 8. Let's go for the number 9. Malapit na. Number 9, sabi, if the corporation is a regional operating headquarters, earning income in the Philippines, its income tax payable is ROHQ daw. Anong year? 2021. Saan taxable? 10% pa. Anong basis? Net taxable income. Magkano net taxable income mo? Nakompute mo na yan kanina dito. 2,750,000. So, 2,750,000 or hindi. Regional operating headquarters ka, resident foreign corp ka, so yung basis mo lang is Philippines. Magkano yung net taxable income mo sa Philippines na na-compute mo kanina dito? Which is ito, 1.5 million pesos. So 1,500,000 times 10%, this is equal to 150,000. Yan yung sagot natin for regional operating headquarters. Okay? 150,000. Sa number 10 naman, mali ako ng sulat, sabi, ROHQ or RHQ lang. Pag RHQ lang, anong sagot mo? 0. Huwag ka na mag-solve dyan. Okay? Number 11. Sa number 11, di ko pa na-discuss, mayroong concept na tinatawag na branch profit remittance tax. Si branch profit remittance tax, tandaan mo, meron niyang 15% of final tax. Ang concept ni branch profit remittance tax, usually, this applies to resident foreign corporation. Si resident foreign corporation, merong net income. Yung net income ni resident foreign corporation, tama yung example natin dito, si McDo. Si resident foreign corporation, pagmumayari ng isang foreign corporation. Yan yung mother company niya. Yung net income ni resident foreign corporation, tama, pwede niya yung i-transfer or i-remit kay foreign corporation kasi nga meron namang part na yung income ni foreign corporation or income ni resident foreign corporation pag may-ari ni foreign corp, ni non-resident foreign corp. Bakit? Kasi nga, subsidiarily owned siya ni foreign corporation. So, merong nangyaring remittance. Sabi daw, yung amount daw na ni-remit, subject daw saan? 15% of final tax. Okay, yan si branch profit remittance tax. Sagutan natin si number 11. If the corporation daw is a resident foreign corp and it applied with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas for a remittance of profit of 1.5 but only remitted 1.275 net of tax, nilito ka lang yan. Kasi tingnan mo, 1.275,000 net of tax, yung tax mo 15%, 100% less 15%, yung 1,275% mo na yan is 85%. Kung hahanapin mo yung 100% yan, 1,275,000 divided by 85%, this is equal to 1,500,000, which is equal doon sa amount na ni-remit. Question, magkano yung income tax payable or income tax na binayaran ni resident foreign corp? Magkano? Yung 1,500,000 times 15%, which is equal to 225,000. Saan nanggaling yan? Sa branch profit remittance tax. Tapos, meron siyang income kasi resident foreign corporation yan. Let's say for example, meron siyang income dito na Or hindi pala. 1.5 lang pala ito. Okay, sige. Mag-stick muna tayo sa dito. Sabihin na natin yung question dito, magkano yung branch profit remittance tax? Nasa 225,000 pesos. Kasi yun yung sinabi. Yun yung niremit. Take note mo. Yung itatax mo dito sa branch profit remittance tax is kung magkano yung income na niremit kay foreign corp. Dito ang sinabi magkano daw i-remit? 1.5. Yung 1.5, yan yung itatax mo sa 15%. Kaya nakuha yung 225,000. Got it? Very good. Next, illustration. Last illustration for this video discussion. Sinabi dyan, KC Corporation, a domestic corporation, domestic corpa, declared and paid the following dividends to its shareholders in 2021. Oh, nag-declare kay resident citizen. Anong tax rate mo dyan? 10%. Final withholding tax. Non-resident citizen, 10% din. Final withholding tax. Resident alien, 10% din. Ito, non-resident alien engaged, 20% na yan. Final withholding tax. Non-resident alien not engaged, ay, naku, 25% final tax na yan eh. Domestic corp, oh, isip. Domestic corp, ay, goy, exempt ka yan, besh. Next, resident foreign corp. Nakakuha si resident foreign corp, ano mangyayari dyan? Naku, domestic corporation yung nag-issue eh. Exempt din yan. Nasa dividend sheet namin yan eh. Memorize ko yan. O ito, non-resident foreign corp. Naku, 25%. Kasi sinabi with tax sparing, 15% tayo rito of final tax. Tinatanong, magkano yung final tax na winidheld ni KC Corporation? Magkano ba yan? 10% of 300,000, 30,000. Ito, 20,000. Ito, 50,000. Ito, 100,000 times 20%. 600,000 times 20%. 120,000. Ito ngayon, 700,000 times 25%. 700,000 times 25%. 175,000. Ito, exempt ka dyan. Ito, 15%. 15,000. Yung total na final tax na winidheld ni KC Corporation daw is nasa 30,000 plus 20 plus 50 plus 120 plus 175 plus 15,000. This is equal to 410,000. Yan yung final answer natin for requirement number 2. 410,000. Okay, so that concludes our discussion for corporate taxation. So, paki-panood po si part 1, part 2, hanggang part 3 po tayo. And this is our part 3. Sana natuto ka. Sana may natutunan ka. Sana mag-enjoy ka. Have a good day. God bless and ciao.